for status, like you plead guilty to being a youthful offender, but not to the crime. And that way I didn't get any felonies or anything, But but then they turned around and sentenced me for 3 years. So
and Elmira, no less.
Yeah, maximum security with the dogs out, with the machine gun nests, and
that place is no. It's not one of those easy living places they send the millionaires. That's for sure. I remember the stories. When I say I know the place, I know of the place because I'm an upstate New York boy myself. I did not have the occasion to spend any time or visit the place, so. I can't share that, but I do know its reputation, which has spread all over the place up there. Armand, next question I want to ask you. Your first album, I don't know how many times people may have already asked you, but I definitely would like to find out where you came up with the title to your first album. A lot of people would like to see Armand Schaubroeck dead.
Yeah, it's a story about my crimes and prison experiences, and it doesn't hold anything back. I remember we were in New York, and I remember their public radio station there. Was one of the big ones that feeds the other public radio stations back at the time, and they said, and they were a lively radio station. I mean, they were getting busted for sneaking tape recorders into courtrooms and when they weren't supposed to, and they said they were really lively. But they said, we're going to play this young man, an ex-convict, Armand Schaubroeck's 3-record set, uncensored. So if foul language bothers you or this or that, then turn your radio off for the next 3 hours and 50-something seconds. And then they interviewed me after.
Wow, that is tremendous, and what an album title! I've got to get me. Is that thing still available anywhere? Can you still get copies of it?
Yes, we still sell it. Yeah, a lot of them are out of print, but that one we still have something like.
I'm going to have to look into that definitely. Before we run out of time, I definitely want you to tell us about your current status as far as your band and your music is concerned, because I know that in addition to all the things we've talked about so far, the shop, the radio program, your music, you also work a lot with local youths, which you kind of touched on there. You work with the local kids growing up, and I can kind of relate to that because that's a kind of what we do here. We work a lot with the emerging artists, and we'd love to be able to give the newcomer artists one more stage to present their talents and music on.
Yeah, you do a very good job at that. Very good job, because you're grabbing a lot of some are unknown, and they don't get no breaks at all, I'll tell you.
Yeah, strange things that we don't hear about, that the media doesn't tell us. But tell us about your group and your music and what you're doing with it.
I just record what I'm not on the prison thing anymore. It's just I'll record strange songs, and I'll get interested in a subject and write a song. I don't always write about I'm in love and I broke up and I'm hurting. Sometimes right. Like that song God Made the Blues to Kill Me. It's really about Vietnam. In the war.
That was
that's recent. That's was recorded about 3 years ago. And then it came out for Record Store Day only, like a limited 750 copy thing. And Record Store Day is when all the record companies put out these rare records and never make
right.
it again in the same form, It's
right.
like a hot day for us because we got a line of like 150 to 200 people waiting for us to open, and they all rush in to get a collectible at a low price,
Sure.
And then I released it as a 10-inch record with 2 songs on it, 2 different versions of that God Made the Blues to Kill Me. One version, the guitar player played a Fender guitar, and the other version, he's playing a Les Paul guitar. So, we have 2 versions of the same song. And then I threw a CD in it, and that has an extra bonus track on it that we couldn't fit on the 10-inch. And then we put in a postcard with the picture of the band with that you could actually use in mail, and a little guitar pick that says God Made the Blues. Then I hand-stamped some of the CDs and signed them,
Right. Wow, I would have loved when I was a kid. I would have loved that because in my high school years is when I got really. I'd always been in music. I was in band and marching band and all that stuff. But in my high school years, when I moved to Rome, New York, I got into the idea of, hey, these guys are on the radio and they're getting paid for playing records, and I'd already discovered that my voice wasn't going to carry me to be a rock star. So I said, well, if I can't make the records, I'll play the damn things. And I talked a local radio station programmer there in Rome into giving me a break. And I did the usual, the routine. I go in on Sunday mornings and play the religious programs and engineer for the Polish show and the Italian show, all that stuff. But that's where I got into it back then. I would have loved having your store around because we had a local record store in Rome, Lou D'Amelio's record, what was it? The record store, I think is what he called it. And used to hang out there all the time. And we worked a deal. He was kind of like you in that respect. He loved the kids. He loved working with them. And he worked with me and used to let me borrow records so that I would be sure to have the entire newest top 40 every time I went out and did a dance somewhere. And only ones I had to pay for were the ones I damaged or kept. The rest of them he let me return, and he put them back on the rack. But that was cool. That was a great thing. Yes, it is. Now we're going to play the song that you just mentioned. God made the blues to kill me. Right. Now you mentioned that it's Vietnam oriented. We've got about a minute and a half left. Tell us a little bit about the story behind it.
I interviewed a lot of Vietnam veterans to get their input on the song before I wrote it, and then I did a lot of research on it. And it's about a person that the judge kind of says you got a choice, go to jail or go to Vietnam, and then so he decides to take the Marines in Vietnam, and he ends up in Quezon and every place else, And it's kind of from a soldier's view. And it's pretty much explaining that the reason you fight is to stay alive yourself and the guy next to you. You don't have all the patriotic feelings all times. It's more, stay alive or die,
Right. And there was a lot of that go to jail or go to Vietnam. I remember that very well. And we're going to play that in just a second. One last thing before I let you go. Tell everybody how they can find you online.
Sales@houseofguitars.com.
If you're in Rochester, look him up at the House of Guitars. You can hear him on Rochester Free Radio Saturday afternoons. Your show is Armand Schoubroeck Spins, correct?
Spins vinyl, right. Armand Schoubroeck Spins vinyl.
Fantastic. Armand, thank you so much for coming and sharing with us today. We really appreciate love having you, and hope maybe we'll get you back again in the future.
Sure, my friend. Thank you. Thank you, David.
Thank you, Armand. Ladies and gentlemen, Armand Schaubroeck, and this is his band, which is Armand Schaubroeck Steels. It's called God Made the Blues to Kill Me.
I was born a bastard on the wrong side of the tracks. God took my twin brother, he died at my birth. It left me yearning for something I could never have. I'm a walking attitude, but no one's to blame. Jill's my mother, my father's insane. I married my Susie to give my son a name. But no one would hire me at mouths to feed. With the beast in my belly, I was born with the devil's seed. Judge and go back to jail or join the Marines. God coming down the Ho Chi Minh Trail. I know he sees me, the night has eyes. The incoming so fierce, there's no place to hide. Johnny died before I could finish my prayer. He left me all alone aboard the fear train, a place where all your nightmares come alive. So roll the dice whether you live or die. Easy on the firefight, I'm on the scare. I wanted to run, but I didn't dare. I can't see Charlie, I just fired at the night. The Marines don't go down without a fight. Baby killer, big kill is a job I was meant to do. Killing the yellow man is nothing new. I know I'm hitting my legs on fire. Little did I know being shot might be my own.
And it ends just like that.
Is it over?
Yeah, we're up.
I was sitting here, kicked back, getting into it, and didn't realize it was ending already. My gosh, it's all over. Our hour is gone already. What a show! We had a fun show today. Some great people. I really loved being able to have Armand in here because he's been a friend to us ever since we've been on Rochester Free Radio, and we really appreciate it.
And he's a big proponent of the show, and we're very grateful to him.
And appreciate him sharing the show with all of his customers and even the walk-bys. If you're in the area, you don't even have to go into the store to hear us. We blast it out on the streets. That's about it for this week, ladies and gentlemen. It has been a blast, and it is that time once again. John Bon Jovial, take us home.
Yes, sir. The David Bowers Awards is broadcast around the world from the studios of Computer Help USA in Naples, Florida, and from the Valley of the Sun in Phoenix, Arizona, and we are available for free on Blog Talk Radio, also on iTunes, iHeartRadio, YouTube, Spreaker, Amazon, Alexa devices, as well as SoundCloud, Mixcloud, 365 Internet radio stations, and wherever great indie music is played. Be sure to click the follow link on our Blog Talk Radio page and like the David Bowers on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook to keep up with all of the information that's going on in the wild, wacky, and wonderful world of indie music. That's right. Be sure to join us next week for the David Bowers Awards on radio station WRFZ 106.3 Rochester Free Radio, 5 p.m. Saturday night, Eastern Time, of course, and Blog Talk Radio, Sunday at 2 p.m., 11 a.m. Pacific Time, and 6 p.m. Greenwich for more great indie music and talk with the artists that make it all happen. So until next week, for the David Bowers Awards, Nick the Geek, and all the other folks here at the Insane Asylum, I am John Bon Jovial, thanking you very much for coming today, and we'll see you next week right here on the David Bowers Awards.